The Inevitability of Capitalism. Quotes from Michael Rothschild's book, BIONOMICS. Selected by Javier Levis. Introduction. In 1990, about a year prior to the dissolution of the Soviet Union, Michael Rothschild published BIONOMICS, The Inevitability of Capitalism. He presented a new way of looking at the economy, saying it was in no way mechanical and Newtonian. It was more biological, and in any case, more akin to an ecology, with many agents and in constant technological evolution. This video recalls what he wrote, using direct quotes. It is well worth remembering how discredited socialism had become 30+ years ago. He also predicts the future, warning that some might fall for socialism again. Newton's influence.
Newton depicted a universe of perfect predictability, a cosmic clockwork mechanism, where planets cycled endlessly, along unchanging paths. Objects moved, but the laws of motion never changed. Propelled by Newton's success, and the belief that perfect knowledge was attainable, scientific inquiry gained a new prominence and urgency, as the 17th century came to a close. Dr. Samuel Johnson asked himself, were there Newtonian laws of motion that regulated the economy? Could economic Newton reveal the simple design underlying the apparent chaos of economic activity? But even after Darwin came along, economists, like most non-biologists, never fully appreciated the significance of evolutionary thought. As a result, today's economics remains wedded to the classical Newtonian paradigm. To explain the intricate relationships of economic life, with concepts invented to describe the motion of planets. Early 19th century science lives in Isaac Newton's shadow. The world of nature, except for rare catastrophes, was like Newton's universe, stable, orderly, and knowable. 2 centuries of economic thought, both capitalist and socialist, conditioned us to accept blindly the notion of economy as machine. Economists still envision the economy as a predictable clockwork mechanism, where historical change is irrelevant, because all movement is cyclical.
Marx.
The most widely read of their joint efforts was the Communist Manifesto, a pamphlet published in Germany in 1848. In fewer than 20 pages, the manifesto announced a new theory of economic history and a program of political revolution. What is important is that Marx was the first person to propose any theory of how economies change over the course of history. The economists who preceded him, Smith, Malthus, and Ricardo, only considered the workings of the economy at a given point in time. Simply put, Marx blended this notion of change through conflict with the teachings of Malthus and Ricardo. Marx's conception of how the economy changed through history has served as the theoretical underpinning of every socialist society. In the mid-1800s, no one, not even Marx, could have imagined the explosive economic growth that techniculture was about to yield. In the Soviet Union, where everybody owns everything, the tragedy of the commons runs amok. Without the self-policing behavior that grows out of self-interest, irrationality pervades the economy. by choking off the thousands of natural feedback loops that markets represent, Lenin and Stalin vested awesome power in the state. They fashioned the single most powerful parasitic hook in the history of the human economy. Once this hook was embedded in the Soviet people, the growth of a massive bureaucracy was a foregone conclusion. The Soviet people became the host of a parasitic organization, more devastating than the worst exploitation experienced under capitalism. Without the lure of profits, and the fear of losses, there is no disciplinary force to restrain bureaucratic growth. Without natural selection, organizations weakened by parasitic infections are not weeded out. Without the requirement that value produced exceed resources consumed, all economic self-control breaks down. An economic system that clashes with fundamental life processes is not just another option. It is a profound aberration from the natural way in which human economic activity spontaneously organizes itself. Marxism failed because its core elements violate processes essential to the functioning of all living, evolving systems. For the Soviet people, who have been schooled in Marxism-Leninism for generations, the idea of allowing some people to become richer than others is nothing short of blasphemy. In the end, the Marxist ideal of a society where everyone has an equal share of the commons simply cannot be reconciled with a system that relies on competition as its shaping force. Competition implies winners and losers. Some firms prosper, while others go bankrupt. The Soviets are drifting toward capitalism, not because it is fashionable, but because it is inevitable. The immutable, natural forces of economic evolution are too powerful to be stifled permanently. A robust economy that violates the principles of organic form and function is an impossibility.
Cells and biology.
Biological and economic systems owe their similarity of form to their similarity of function. In nature, organisms convert genetic information into tissues. In the economy, organizations turn technological information into products. The evidence is now convincing that the modern cell began as a collaboration of ancient bacteria. Essentially, a cell takes amino acids recovered from food proteins and reassembles these building blocks into proteins of its own. All of life's structures and chemical reactions depend upon the interplay of proteins. All plant and animal cells use this suite of 5 organelles for information processing: nucleus, materials preparation, lysosome, component assembly, ribosome, protein packaging, Golgi, and energy release, mitochondria. With specialized organelles handling each crucial step in life's chemical rearrangements, nature seems to have come up with the ultimate architecture for life's central challenge: transforming information into physical substance, and back again into more information. Form and function appear so seamlessly integrated that it's hard to imagine a better design.
This is a side-by-side depiction of the similarities between a cell and a factory. Everything a cell does is done at a factory. The same is true for the human body. Adapted from the book BIONOMICS.
The entire global economy is comprised of work cells and organizations engaged in the interdependent production and exchange of products. all organizations cope with essentially the same tasks that face a single living cell. Workers are like flexible, durable organelles inside the work cells of organizations. The best protection for workers is an economic system that helps the jobless update their skills to match the needs of prospering firms. Conclusion. If the workings of the economy parallel the functions of form and function of the ecosystem, if the organizations follow the same principles of form and function that govern the evolution of organisms, then there is but one natural mode of economic organization.
Organizations.
Highly intelligent organizations, like highly intelligent organisms, respond quickly to shifting environmental conditions. Every organism is defined by the information in its genes. But a living thing also is defined by its relationships to its prey, competitors, and predators. In the same way, an organization is defined by its technology, and by its associations with its suppliers, competitors, and customers.
The economic ecosystem.
Modern biology's detailed understanding of evolution, though previously overlooked by economic and political thinkers, should be of great help in comprehending both our past and our future. Like an amoeba, the economy is bound on all sides by its cost frontiers. Along each frontier, the competitive frenzy never lets up. In information, transportation, food, clothing, health, energy, finance, and all the other economic sectors, firms differentiate their products to avoid head-on confrontation. Both genetic and technological information live by resisting entropy. Both grow by becoming more efficient. Both squeeze more life from fixed resources through the trials and errors of evolutionary learning. No one set up the ecosystem. No one set up the market economy. No one needed to. Like any self-organizing system, capitalism just happened. The printing press allowed it to get going. The microprocessor kicked it into high gear. But whenever organizations, public or private, are insulated from competition, there is little to stop the growth of bureaucracy. The bureaucracy becomes the non-competing organization's tapeworm, consuming scarce resources and giving nothing back in return. In both ecosystem and economy, survival rewards efficiency. Inefficiency is punished by extinction. Whether an economy happens to be based on genetic or technical information, the same basic rules apply. Limited resources compel organisms to compete. Competition is evolution's driving force. In a high-technology economy, wages are not simply a payment for raw labor. In effect, earnings are a financial return on the worker's past investment in the human capital.
Warning.
Far too many of America's most influential figures, in government, the media, and academia, still believe Marx's core message, that profit comes only from coercive exploitation. Unless we can explain the hidden patterns of economic life, the zealots of some future generation will feel compelled to run society through this dreadful exercise yet again.
Conclusion. Here are 3 different ways to study the economy. Remember that models are not right or wrong, but rather more or less useful. Each model gives you different insights to a complex reality. Unfortunately, we are pretty much stuck to the Newtonian model of the economy. Any of the three models above beats the Newtonian model. Take your pick. I personally think that the economy is really the nation-state, which resembles a living organism in many ways. It maps quite well to Stafford Beer's viable system model, and my own Universal 7 governance and management system. Another way to represent an economy is as a complex adaptive system, with many autonomous agents seeking their own goals. Watch my video, The Cybernetic State on YouTube. Thanks for watching.